Good morning, boys and girls. It's Arlene. Hope you're all doing really well. This is the 22nd Sunday of the year, and we're going to start our children's liturgy this morning. I'm on my own today because my own children are all out and about, and they'll catch up with us later too. Okay. So no one likes to do something difficult when there is an easier way. Sometimes it's hard to do what we know is right, but today Jesus tells us that we should not try to take the easy way out, but we should try to follow his way, which is not always easy. We're going to start say our act of sorrow. Oh my God, I thank you for loving me. I am sorry for all my sins, for not loving others and not loving you. Help me to live like Jesus and not sin again. Amen. And we're going to welcome the gospel as we stand. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. And we welcome the gospel in our heads and in our hearts. Jesus began to tell his disciples that he would be brought before the high priests, and he put to death before rising to life again. Lord, this cannot be allowed to happen, exclaimed Peter, who was deeply upset by what Jesus had told them. But Jesus said, Peter, your way is not God's way. If you follow me, sometimes things will be difficult, but you must accept that, and we should try not to take the easy way out. Amen. We can all sit down now. So I guess Peter must have got quite a shock when Jesus sat round and told his disciples that he was going to be put to death by the high priests and rise again. And if we think about why you'd be upset, it's like, imagine if one of your friends came to you and said this was going, terrible thing was going to happen, and you cared about your friends and you wouldn't really want anything bad to happen to them. So I guess this is why Peter felt really upset when Jesus said this to them, and probably very confused as well. Why would he not be confused? He was going to lose a very good friend and somebody he followed and taught him lots of things. Jesus' message then to Peter was that your way is not God's way. And God's message was that not everything is easy. So I guess if we can relate that to stuff that we do every day, is that maybe saying sorry. That actually just, if you follow it with your friend or your parents and you think about, oh, I'll just maybe pretend that I wasn't mean, or I wasn't angry to them, or that nothing happened. That's kind of like taking the easy way out. Whereas if we own up to something that we've done, and we find courage to say sorry, I think that's what Jesus is saying here, that we need courage. And I think when Jesus was in the garden praying to God before he was put to death, I think he was asking for courage, because often we forget that that's what we need, is courage. When times are really difficult for us, if we have the courage to say sorry to one of our friends, or the courage to find our way back to Mass. And now that we've been away for so long, I know some of us are making it back more than others because of the restrictions. But if we find courage to get through homework that's maybe we've not been doing for a long time, courage to get through the day at school when we're all back at school again. So I think God's message here to us is, through Jesus, is to let's try to find the courage to, when things are really difficult for us, to keep going and find our way through to the path towards Jesus, to God's path. So today's activity, I was thinking it might be a nice idea to create a garden, maybe like the garden Jesus was in when he was praying for courage, and thinking about times that maybe you lost courage and you needed to find courage somewhere. maybe decorate your garden any way you want. It might be a different coloured fence. Some people might want a yellow fence. You can think about flowers that you might want to put in it, or maybe not. You can think about the smells that are in that garden. There might be a pond in that where you might see yourself. But when you're in that garden and you're creating that garden, I want you to maybe imagine yourself in there. And when you're in there, it would maybe be nice to think about courage and times that you've maybe not had or lost courage, and think about carrying courage with you and praying to God for courage to get through difficult times. And we're certainly going through difficult times now. Things like Holy Communion's coming up soon for lots of you boys and girls that haven't made it yet or received it yet. And we need courage with that too, because we might not always have the people there that we want to celebrate with us over the next few weeks. However, we will have St. Gregory's, and we will have Father Alan there, and we'll have the presence of God, and that's the most important thing to us. So although we are going through these difficult times, let's pray to God that we'll find the courage to do that. Okay, and we're going to finish up with our baptismal promise. Do you believe in God the